What's up, guys? It's Cam.
It's Joe.
And we are HawksNestGaming coming at you right after work, clearly, with a Banlist reaction video. So, my buddy Aaron said this was going to happen.
Yeah.
And so many people doubted you, Aaron. I believed. Actually, I didn't really believe. But I'm very happy.
It kind of makes sense just because the list, you know, for those who've already seen it, you can tell that they're pushing cash as it's coming out. And you know what? That's not even a problem because tiers have just been an issue. Tiers create so many problems within the game to be able to play other things. Cash has many more things that you can do against it. Interruptions, you hit a card at the right time. Like Nibiru is going to be really effective against it. Not always necessarily. There's ways to play around that. But that being said, tiers just there's so many more like plays. They create other issues in terms of spectatorship. I mean, people don't love watching chain 20 and then going backwards from there. It's just a mess for that as well. So it hasn't been a good time for that.
Playing on your turn is not quite as crazy.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. It's a good time to be back in Yu-Gi-Oh, folks.
No, it's going to be
So, Banlist takes effect on the 13th of February, so a week from today. It's awesome because we are sending 2 teams to Vegas for the first weekend of the legal ban list, so I'm really, really excited.
It's going to be fun.
Oh, it's going to be incredible. All right, so just real quick, we're going to run through the ban cards. So ban, we have Tearlaments, Gallows.
Yep.
Oh, see you, bye.
And some people thought this would be the only thing that they would maybe do to it. But even like if that was the case, you can just replace it with Kings of the Swamp, things like that. It's just not enough of a thing to really affect the deck in any conceivable way. So.
I mean, the mill 5's gone, and I mean, just so much is gone.
Yeah.
And then so we got Sprite Elf, which I was.
It was a little surprising, honestly. But yeah, I mean, what that card provides in terms of how it splashes in other decks, you're gonna have, you know, you're gonna have the Gishki stuff mixed with it as well. But any level 2 thing, I mean, it was so good in other decks, and if it had said, you know, required a Sprite monster, that'd be a whole different thing. The fact that it's any like monsters, you know, you can just make it in most any other deck, like it just provided too much, and the protection.
Generic level rank 2, yeah, the targeting protection is the biggest thing.
It was crazy.
So it's a free 2 totem negate, so
yeah,
screw you. Anyway, but the reason they had to hit it, Joe, is because without that hit, Sprite immediately becomes just the best deck.
They checked. I mean, the farther we go down the list, you see how much they checked other decks, especially like tier. You needed to check this too because it just becomes that much better. So.
Oh, it's insane. And then we have, what was the next one? Oh,
Artifact side.
Yeah.
Which is a huge one, honestly, because, you know, in the past you could play Sanctum, but you had to get to it. You had to draw it. There wasn't a way to actually search it out. Well, the more we've gone along.
Heavenly Prison technically good.
Yes, you had ways, but now you've got like stuff like the Labyrinth that can do it, and especially Triple Tactics Thrusting coming out. That's an easy card that you can just grab from the deck. Okay, cool, I've got Sanctum. Okay, now I'm gonna play this. Stop you from summoning your extra deck. Now back to my turn. For trap decks, which are actually growing right now, I mean, you've got the Labyrinth stuff coming out. You're gonna have Trap Trick soon getting their structure deck. You've got a lot of back row decks that are coming up, and it would be really strong because now you can search it. So.
It actually makes a big sense, and I think it's good foresight from Konami. I mean, everybody's complained about Scythe forever.
Oh yeah, this was, some people thought this was like, you know, them trying to react to something from like last summer, you know, when it really probably needed to get touched.
I mean, honestly, to prevent degeneracy.
Yeah.
And then the last one's the Wind Barrier statue, which, thank goodness.
Yeah, for real. I mean, I've played this in the past, but I mean, with Flu abusing it as it has, and just any kind of the statues, if they become that abusable, are a problem. I mean,
you make it.
It's a floodgate. It's a monster.
Specifically, make it a wing beast. It just makes it way too dependable for any other. I mean,
yeah.
Think some more could come back out? Probably not.
No. There's other issues.
Again, targeting protection, avian, like all the things.
Yeah, and you can pull like
Avian.
That's the biggest thing. I wouldn't mind it for Harpies, honestly, because there's some spice with that, but not that would really do anything anyway.
Harpies best.
No, not even. They're fun though.
So the Simulimits.
Yeah, so this is where a lot of the meat happens.
Juicy. It's so juicy.
So let's say all the Ishizu cards, all the main deck tier elements cards except for Rhino Heart. He didn't get touched, and of course, because he's an ulti, so we gotta sell that OTS still. And you know, the field spell's still at 3 as well. But yeah, so the meat of it is that all the Ishizu cards and all the main deck monsters except for Rhino Heart got hit for tiers. And how do we feel about that?
Super happy. The shufflers and the millers were the problem to begin with.
No, for real.
I thought tier elements as a deck without the Ishizu cards was actually not. I mean, it was still really strong, but it was you couldn't touch my graveyard, and I was fine with that.
I agree with you because the way it played before was more interesting. I mean, they were kind of like a combo deck, right? Like they just okay, let me
and
you know
things.
It played so much differently, and once you introduced those cards, that's where it just got out of hand. It got to be way too much. And so people are actually speculating, maybe, those who are going to try and play it, it's going to be more similar to how it was. But no, for real, those Ishizu cards really just, they're still going to be relevant to an extent, but it's not going to be the same as it was. And that's okay, because that's really, like, tiers have been so rampant, so destructive to Yu-Gi-Oh! It feels like for most people, I think, that they're happy. I mean, sorry for the people who actually really like playing tier, that kind of format. But honestly, I love, the not tier 0. We haven't had a tier 0 like this in a while. So it's
a slaughter list, and I love it.
Yeah. And of course, this pushes cash up. However, not exactly, because in a way, like, that was kind of a deck that came out that, like, countered tier. But honestly, now it's really just like people are saying, I mean, Branded and tier, you hand trap them at the right time, well, they might die to it. So, like, it's not the same. Tier just had too much it could do. More than any Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck should be able to do.
And that's exactly what it is now. But see, in the Tearlaments format that we've been in for the last 6 months, 4.5, 5 months.
Yeah.
Board breakers were garbage because anything that's sent by card effect, it's free crap.
Yeah.
And they're still playing on your turn and they're shuffling back all your resources, so it didn't matter. But now, board breakers are going to be viable again, and it just opens the playbook up for so many different decks.
No, but for real, what's exciting about it is Yu-Gi-Oh! Is kind of back to where it was. I mean, the power creep, we were in a format before where you had like Branded, you got Sword Soul, you had all the Tri Brigade was even around, Bird Up, like so many different kinds of decks floating around, and then things even on the edge. I mean, it was such an open feeling kind of game. And then all of a sudden we got to Power of the Elements and it was like, it's a whole different game. Like, okay, here's tier. And again, this was even before Ishizu cards, but you felt tier, you felt Sprite. I mean, it was already getting a little out of hand, and then on top of that, we got the cash. It's been so much power creep. It's nice that they were like, all right, we need to slow it down, like, for real, because...
I'm glad they hit the brakes. It's awesome.
I mean, to be honest, locals, a lot of people have talked about how it's dwindled somewhat, too. I mean...
Well, we started Rogue Knights, and Rogue Knights have been just as big as our regular constructed tournaments.
I mean, going to the preview this weekend, I'm trying to play a little bit more because I hadn't been as much, but I was talking to some people, and they're like, dude, it's so stale. Like... And people were just tired of what was going on because who wants to play it? Like,
so Photon Hypernova is gonna literally just like shock a lot of this back in because there's so many archetypes. Like we talked about in the last discussion video, last week, Insects get so much support.
Yeah.
Branded obviously gets the support that they want. There's so many archetypes that get support here that we're gonna see all kinds of crazy stuff. And here's the thing. No tier, or well, less tier representation means less bestial representation, which means
no, for real, and it's interesting because now rogue decks can kind of go back to what they did. I mean, there's so many like tools that rogue decks have access to now to try and check meta decks that the people who really want to play those decks and study up on the format can actually come in with those decks and do pretty effectively with it, like in terms of their game plan. So
anyway, that's kind of where our thoughts are on what. So unlimits were pretty simple. You have
the Destrudo.
Yeah, Destrudo going back to 3, which I don't know how I'm okay with. We'll see how that shakes out. That card's pretty gross.
We did kind of skip over real quick, but Ancient Fairy Dragon's coming back as well. That's just coming back with an errata. Same
post errata March 10th. So
yeah, not yet.
We don't get it yet, but we do get an errata version of Ancient Fairy Dragon, which I'm curious to see how that's going to shake out.
And I think that's in that Maze of Memories set, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's right.
Yeah, so it's been confirmed for that.
And then, so we got Destrudo back at 3, we got O-Line and Jet back to 3, and that's just because Hawks banned and they didn't do anything. Lithosagems at back to 3, which I'm kind of curious to see how some True King stuff shakes out with some Dino. That's going to be neat.
And then Servian of Endymion, which is fine. I mean, Pendulums, please give them more. They're a mechanic that's struggling. I mean, I know your opinions on Pendulums, and I know a lot of people don't like them after everything that Pendulums were.
Foot on the throat.
But people were saying, like, are they just going to keep putting stuff back until it's like, wow, Pendulums still aren't doing anything. Better give them Electromite. I don't know. The TCG does not like Electromite. I don't either, personally. I mean,
I'm sitting on like 10 of them, so I don't know.
I mean, yeah. So
Yatagarasu coming back to 3, which
Yeah, someone come up with some super gimmick. No, it's probably not going to do anything. It's crazy that we've reached that point in the game, though. But there's that, and then Spiral Last Resort, Spiral Resort, which is fine, honestly, because Master Plan is not legal. If that was legal, it'd be a whole different discussion. But no, it's not going to change anything for them. So.
But anyway, guys, that's our reaction on this. I'm super pumped about it. I love going into unsolved format
because this feels kind of like pre some of the power creep. I mean, it's still there, but it's going to be fun. I think it's an exciting format.
It's going to be wild, but look, at the end of the day, go back to what you're good at and what you enjoy and build from there. And just don't be afraid to pick up that deck box and break out what you played in the last format, because who knows? You could absolutely crack some skulls because it's wide open right now.
Yeah, and people are going to jump, like one of the things in Vogue, like that's one of those things that people always go back to. It's like, is this good in this format? Okay, let me see. Let me throw it back in. But Wild West, and it's an exciting time.
Amazing.
Oh yeah, do it.
All right, guys. Well, again, link in the description below. If you're looking to pick up any of the Cashtira singles, TCG Player, right down here below. Pre-sales going on right now, so go ahead and pick yours up before they jump crazy. Okay?
And make sure to tune in, because this week we're going to be doing some cases of Photon Hypernova. We're going to be busting those. 2 cases. Yeah, okay. I was talking before if it was going to be 2, but I mean, this set is hot. So
2 cases on camera.
So
we're going to get it. It's going to be like a quick.
Yeah.
So it's going to be fun.
If I can top what I pulled in my sneak preview, that was nuts, man. First pack, beauty.
Mirror Jade's going to happen.
Yeah, let's do
Stay
it.
tuned.
Let's do it. We just got to have Murph pick it, though.
Oh, yeah, you got to have Murph.
Magic.
The Murph magic.
But thanks for watching. Rate, comment, subscribe, and check out some more of our content. We appreciate it, and stay tuned.
And as always,
be safe.